Com to learn more. The right card, the right care.
Hanny time. Hanny time. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Sandegriff.
All right, come clean. How many of you are getting in your vehicle right now to go to lunch and you ain't going back? Taylor tried to get out of here early. He thought it's Friday, right? On location. I can go home. No, Taylor. Not quite. Welcome into Hanny Time 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. I'm Charles Sandegriff along with Mario Jerez and Taylor Sharp. It's one of those I always like this day. This is always one of my favorite days of the sports year because of as much of what's going on as the anticipation of what's going on. First of all, you get a nice little one-day break in the middle of your week. And for many people, this is the beginning of a full holiday weekend. We're going to be on a normal schedule on Friday, and, of course, Saturday is game day. But Friday is not a normal Friday. Friday is a college football Friday, a college football appetizer, if you will, but there's some good games. Some games really worth watching on the slate. Plus, you got all day worth of Thanksgiving Day. And when the NFL made the decision years ago to go to 3 games on Thanksgiving Day instead of 2, that was a great idea. When Ole Miss and Mississippi State play the Egg Bowl on Thanksgiving Day, that's a great idea. When Texas and Texas A&M used to play that game on Thanksgiving Day, that was a great idea. You know what's not a great idea? LSU playing on Thanksgiving Day. That was a bad idea. You know why? Because it interrupts my schedule. Okay, this is about me. I don't really care about television ratings or revenues or anything. This is about me. All right. I like to spend Thanksgiving Day with my family, and when my family finishes dinner and everybody goes take a nap, I get to watch football. It's like the Clan of the Cave Bears. Everybody goes and takes a nap, and while all of the bears are sleeping, I watch football. It's wonderful, unless of course LSU is playing like they did that one year to appease Texas A&M, and not doing that anymore. Scott Rabalais here in about 15 minutes. We'll do first class, second class, no class at the bottom of the hour. So in addition to the games that we've got going on over the next 3 days, we've got LSU basketball tonight. They're going to play Kansas State. This is their first real strenuous test of the year. Tigers are a 1-point favorite, so Vegas pretty much considers this a toss-up game. A nice win yesterday for LSU against Akron. If you followed us on the podcast, said, listen, man, if they're favored by roughly the same amount that Mississippi State was favored by, Mississippi State beat Akron by 19. Take them. A little bit of a nervous moment when they were down at the half, but LSU really controlled the second half, pulled away, won and covered easily against Akron yesterday. So they'll play Kansas State tonight. Again, this is pretty much a toss-up game. No television. It's on some streaming whatchamahoocher, but we'll have it for you on Eagle. So the playoff rankings came out last night. This was a mild surprise. I thought that USC would probably jump LSU in the college football playoff rankings the same way they did in the AP rankings. I also told you that there was going to be no outrage on my part if that happened. A lot of times the recency bias gets to people, and I told you, listen, it's not what happened last week. Everything matters, as does LSU's loss against Florida State back in September. I did cringe a little bit last night when I heard Feinbaum say after in his analysis, he says, well, the committee's telling people that LSU's loss way back in the beginning of September is really not going to be held against them. It should. Think about it this way. If it were another team, say one that wears crimson and is 2 states over, and they lost a game back in September, and they say, well, you really couldn't count that. We'd be up in arms. I'd be leading the charge, okay? LSU's loss to Florida State should absolutely count. I understand they're a much better football team now. Doesn't matter. Everything matters. So if USC had jumped LSU in the pecking order this week, wouldn't have bothered me because, as I've told you again, time and time again, LSU's argument is not what is on the table now for the playoff, okay? Their argument is a Southeastern Conference championship, which currently they do not have. When they get one, if they get one, then you make, all the arguments you want. If it makes you feel better, every talking head that I heard last night believes that this solidifies LSU as a playoff team if they beat Georgia. I sort of figured that anyway, but if this ranking makes you feel better, then fantastic. I'm here to tell you that an LSU win over Georgia would have jumped the Tigers into the playoff, no matter if they were behind USC, no matter if they had been behind Clemson, for instance. I just, I figured that would have been enough. And I still feel that way. But if this makes you feel better, all the same. USC still got to win two very difficult games. They've got to beat Notre Dame, and they've got to beat either Oregon or Washington in the Pac-12 championship game. So their resume is not solidified either. If the Tennessee fans are up in arms that Alabama is ranked in front of them, I can't argue that, okay? I would be pretty steamed too. It's like, okay, listen, we're a two-loss team. Alabama's a two-loss team. LSU's a two-loss team. We beat both of those teams. I get it. But the loss to South Carolina is pretty bad. South Carolina's a 7-win team. You got blown out there, and it would be about that for me more with Tennessee. If anybody in that room voted to put Tennessee behind Alabama because Hendon Hooker got hurt, shame on them. Because you should be basing these rankings based on what you know and what you don't. Not what you don't. What you know is that Tennessee played Alabama and they won. You don't know how Tennessee's going to play in their next game or the game after that. There's a little bit of intrigue here for LSU fans because this is the case in a loss to Georgia. A 10-3 LSU team is going to be probably ranked behind a 10-2 Alabama team. Just fix your face. Get ready for it. I'm convinced of that. It's also not the worst thing in the world because that scenario could lead LSU to the Orange Bowl. Nothing against the Sugar Bowl, but it's been a long time, 40 years, since LSU's been to the Orange Bowl. Been to the Sugar Bowl a number of times. Love New Orleans. Everything's great. But a trip to the Orange Bowl would not in any way upset me if LSU loses the SEC championship game. So we're watching that. We're watching that as well. Does it bode well for the Ohio State and Michigan loser in this playoff scenario? What we're seeing so far, it does if it's Ohio State. I think not so much if it's Michigan, and that is based on Ohio State's win over Notre Dame. Michigan has nothing on their non-conference schedule that remotely compares to that. Now, didn't look great at the end of September because the Irish were really, really struggling, even into the first part of October. But now, with a resurgent Notre Dame, that win certainly stands up better than anything that Michigan has done. Man, there's a good card this weekend. I love rivalry weekend. There's a lot of really intriguing games. I was going through trying to put my picks together for the podcast last night and this morning. It's like, man, there's a lot to choose from. I mean, this is like a buffet with 19 things that you like on it. Lord knows I know about that. Jimbo Fisher talking about what a win over LSU would mean for A&M.
It's huge. Again, the future of what you have here, which we believe is extremely bright, where we're going and what we're doing, and these guys playing together and being together. And I think for the seniors, a great send-off and the last time they walk in that stadium and, learning that, another lesson of persevering, of, not letting circumstances dictate who you are and what you are, but how you deal with them and what you persevere through. And I think it'd be great for those seniors and it'd be a great message for those young players going into the offseason.
I've been told by people that I respect that these things mean a great deal. Jacob Hester and I, who did a show together for a while, would tell me, he says, man, a win in a bowl game that, the media would think is kind of meaningless. He says, man, that springboard into the off season, and I'm saying bowl game because this is A&M's bowl game. Hester would tell me all the time. He said, man, look, you win that game and you're feeling good about yourself. It's a big confidence boost for the program. Everybody goes into the offseason with a good taste in their mouth, and it does mean something if you win the Music City Bowl or the Texas Bowl or whatever. I never saw it that way. I got to respect Jake because he played the game, and he absolutely was. It was not a show bid or anything like that. He believed what he was telling me, and so I I got to respect that the teams that Jake was on, it absolutely meant a ton. I don't think this game means a thing to A&M's program if they win it. I really don't. They'll feel good for the rest of the day. You know, the people that work with LSU alumni in Houston will, you know, have bragging rights or whatever. But if A&M wins this game, it is not – I don't think – this is my opinion, maybe stupid. I don't think anybody that is planning on going into transfer portal at Texas A&M right now, and there's going to be plenty, is going to change their mind if they win over LSU. I don't think any administrator at Texas A&M, the athletic director, the president, I don't think any of those people are going to have a different opinion of Jimbo Fisher if they beat LSU. This is still going to be a disaster of a season. It is still going to be the hottest of hot seats. Get ready next summer. Who's on the hottest seat in college football? Jimbo Fisher. Doesn't matter what happens Saturday. Nobody in the A&M program is going to say everything's fixed or even anything's fixed. Trust me. Next week, going to be ugly at Texas A&M. There'll be people on the staff that are going to go. There'll be lots of movement towards the transfer portal. If I'm wrong, I'll get up here and say I'm wrong. Mario, send me an over-under on players that have announced for the transfer portal by this time next week, by next Wednesday from Texas A&M.
8.
Over.
Dang.
Taylor, you want to take a shot at this? Mario's our line maker today. He set the over-under at 8. I'm going over.
10.
I'm thinking it's going to be closer to 15. That's just a random guess for me. If I had to set an over-under at A&M players in the portal by this time next week, I'd set it probably at 13 or 14. I think it's going to be high. And that's regardless of who wins this game. I understand why Jimbo said what he said. If I was in his chair, which is a really nice chair, I'm sure. It's nicer than mine. A lot more expensive. I would be saying the same thing. Yes, you know, this is it's a very big deal. And if he can get his team to play like that, good for him. I mean, what other card does Jimbo have left to play? Not in the playoff race, not going to a bowl game, not going to be an electric crowd, not a symbolic, historical game. I mean, nobody, no quarterback from Texas A&M or LSU going to win the Heisman. We've seen those games. Look, Johnny Manziel. It was exciting. LSU beat him twice. It was a big deal. Manziel was really good. Joe Burrow, 7 overtimes over there. You know, they had to give him an IV. Had to put him on the, not the gurney, but basically on the table after the game and wait for an hour just so Joe could get his win back. And the next year he got his revenge in a pound of flesh and then some. Games we'll always remember. This won't be one. It will be a disappointing loss if LSU were to slip up, but I don't think that this will be one of those A&M games that we will remember for all times. But Jimbo's got to play it that way. Like I said, what other card does he have to play at this point? One of the things that we're watching for this game is Devon Achane and his possibilities of playing in this game. Last time we saw him, he was in a walk-in boot. This was Jimbo about Achane and also Evan Stewart.
Very hopeful. I mean, I'm very optimistic about that. I can't say that for sure. You don't ever day-by-day things, but feel very, very optimistic.
What else is he going to say? I mean, even if those guys are out, he's going to come out and give LSU that. You're grasping for strings of positive. Maybe those guys play, maybe they don't. I don't know. Got no idea. But Achane is their best player. He's a very good running back, and if he's out, it's going to be a major deal for them to lose. We'll take a break. Scott Rabalais, when we return, this is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Coming up at Big Mike's tomorrow, they are opening for Thanksgiving Day at 6 o'clock, and it'll be live music by Byron Bujold, along with, of course, the football games on TV. So after you've had your family lunch and everybody's taking their nap and you're up and hey, man, I want to do something. I have to go to work tomorrow. Head on over to Big Mike's for live music and football. It's part of their Thanksgiving program. And on Friday, Yellow Jackets with a big win up in North Louisiana last week. They take on Ruston Friday night. Big Mike's will be open late after the game. You want to family friendly after the game. You want to get in and get a late meal after Denham Springs plays Ruston. That'll be on Friday. Big Mike's gift card specials, $30 in gift cards will get you $5 off your next visit. $50 will get you $10, and $100 will get you $20 off your next visit. Make nice stocking stuffers for you here during the holidays. And again, on Sunday, happy hour drink prices all day for the Saints and the 49ers. That is in the second window. Big Mike's on Aspen in Denham Springs. We're kind of a big deal.
Professional golfers John Peterson and J.J. Colleen answer all your golf and life questions inside the new Drop Biscuit Studios podcast for the people. Download or subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 60 months on new 2022 Ford F-150s. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird. But we can take
on Friday's OTB. Hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving, but it's time to lock back in to beat Texas A&M. We'll be live at City Slice, chopping it up off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Well, you get down the fiddle and you get down the bow, kick off your shoes and you throw them on the floor, dance in the kitchen till the morning light, Louisiana Saturday night, waiting in the front yard, sitting on a log.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, 104.5ESPN.com. Let's bring in Scott Rabalais from The Advocate. Rab, happy Thanksgiving. How are you?
Charles, happy Thanksgiving to you and all the little Hannegriffs.
You know, do you get to spend all day Thanksgiving Day in College Station, or the fact that this game is not until Saturday gives you a little bit of a break.
Yeah, driving over to Houston actually on Friday morning. Used to be, of course, when LSU would play Arkansas on the Friday after Thanksgiving, it was have lunch with the family and race to the airport.
Yeah.
For that game. But fortunately, this game is on a Saturday. I don't miss those. I don't miss those too much because it's like, where are we going to eat dinner on Thanksgiving night? It's just kind of depressing.
Yeah, bring a
city.
sandwich. There's a famous story about the year LSU had to go play in the Liberty Bowl, and Bill Arnsparger scheduled a practice on Christmas morning. They were playing Baylor, and they went to the Liberty Bowl to practice on Christmas morning, and absolutely nobody wanted to be there. From the players I've talked to that were on that team, and they were locked out of the Liberty Bowl. Couldn't get into the stadium, so they're in the parking lot of the Liberty Bowl. They're in the parking lot of the Liberty Bowl Stadium on Christmas morning. It's freezing cold. Nobody besides Arnsparger wants to be there. And while they're trying to find somebody to let them in the Liberty Bowl to practice, the players go across to this 7-Eleven that's across the street from the stadium, and they get these burritos that you can, the microwavable burritos from a convenience store. You can imagine how they are. And as the story goes, I think it was Nicky Hazard had his nuked burrito from 7-Eleven, hopped up on top of one of the pickup trucks in the parking lot and went, "Merry bleeping Christmas!" And LSU did not play very well in that game. So 1-2 it goes a long way in these games at the end of the year.
I went to that Liberty Bowl, by the way. I was about the coldest I've ever been at a sporting event. I think it was like in the teens. It was a night game. Everybody was miserable except for Baylor.
Everybody that went to that game said how miserable an experience it was. LSU had one highlight in the game. Norman Jefferson ran it was a kickoff or a punt back for a touchdown. It was the only off. They didn't score other than that. And Baylor's quarterback, who would go on to play for the Oilers, was the commander, Cody Carlson. Cody Carlson had a big game against LSU that night at the Liberty Bowl. Anyway, this game, everybody's trying to figure out what kind of effort A&M is going to put out there. I know you don't know, Scott, but you've seen enough of these games to be able to draw on some examples. You're going to get a great effort from A&M because this is the end, or they're going to be, hey, man, run the clock. Let's go home.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's a little nuanced here. I think coming off a win over UMass, albeit probably the worst team in FBS, but still they finally broke their losing streak. It's going to give them. They're going to feel a little better about themselves. And it's an SEC game. It's a rivalry game. It's a home game. There's going to be there's going to be a little juice on the A&M side to start the game. I remember thinking this something similar, although Ole Miss was a little worse that year. LSU went there to Ole Miss in 2011, and just Houston Nutt was fired or about to be fired, and they just wiped the field with them. But Ole Miss came out with a little energy, and but it's incumbent on LSU to come out and I know something's been hard for them to do this year, but to get off to a fast start. And if they can, I think the Aggies might quit, or they're certainly going to get discouraged. If LSU jumps up 10-0, it's like, okay, it's another game like this. If they carry the fight to LSU and it's 14-10, at halftime, well, maybe they're going to be in for a game. So I think it's important for LSU to come out strong in this game, unlike some of the games they played. A&M's had a lot of slow starts too, as you can imagine. So I think they'll be energized at first, but LSU can do something about that by the way they play.
I remember that Ole Miss game. You know what I remember about that game? I remember Zach Mettenberger taking off on a quarterback run down to the 1-yard line with about 5 minutes to go. He was a third-team quarterback that year, and LSU was already up. I think it was 42-3 or whatever the score was, and Les made him take a knee at the 1-yard line 4 times in a row so that they wouldn't punch another one in.
And rightly so. And look, I kind of think it was overkill at that point. And the kid wanted to score. He was like
Mettenberger hadn't played at that point, really. That was one of the first games that he had ever played. For Brian Kelly, what are you looking for? I mean, listen, I understand you're trying to get everything in line for the SEC championship game, but what concerns you the most if you're Brian Kelly going into this game?
I would be concerned about the running game. A little bit. Who's available, and one of the backs you have available, John Emery, is got some kind of he started cooking already for Thanksgiving. He got butter on his hands or something. I don't know what we saw last week. Josh Williams, and we only talked to Coach Kelly on Monday. We did not have an SEC teleconference today, and we're not getting him tomorrow because it's Thanksgiving. So that was it. So I think they held Josh Williams out. He's going to come. He should be able to come back. Can he? How effective will he be? Williams, you got Kane. Armani Goodwin obviously is lost for the year. Emery, you don't want to give the ball to. The other running back was Derek Davis, the converted safety who played Saturday and looked pretty good. But they said, well, we don't play him in a redshirt. If Josh Williams can't go, I think they're going to Derek Davis to say, will you make that sacrifice?
No, I think that ship. Well, I'm saying that I probably shouldn't. I think that ship is probably sailed. One of the things with Davis, and he did look good. He had 2,000 yards his last year in high school, and that included 500 yards in reception. So he's certainly capable with the ball in his hands, but he doesn't know very much of the offense, and I think we're past the Jimbo. Teach him one play, Jim. I think we're past.
Teach him one play, Jimbo.
We're a little bit past that.
But of course, with LSU, you have to keep in mind that you only have a couple of running backs maybe that you can count on, but you also have Jaden Daniels, and he's your leading rusher, and he's likely to get more yards again than anyone else. He's handing the ball off to, so that's another factor as well. So you have Kane, you have Josh Williams, who's maybe not 100%, but good enough to play. Sprained knee, coming off of that, and then Emery, who they probably don't want to give the ball to that much. Maybe throw it to him. I don't know. But and then of course Jaden is good for X number of carries. So that adds a dimension to it that a lot of teams can't go to.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going through emergency scenarios in practice if they were to God forbid sustain multiple injuries in the same game. But sure. we'll leave that to Brian Kelly. Scott, I am fascinated as to what is going to happen when this game is over at Texas A&M. We've never seen every offseason. Coaches get fired. Coaches move. Coaches change jobs. Players leave, go to the pros. They transfer out, whatever. But I don't know that we've ever seen a scenario quite like this, where the coach is so locked in, allegedly, because of his contract, that if the contract were not a discussion, they would have fired Jimbo Fisher 4 weeks ago, probably. If Jimbo had a reasonable buyout, I believe that. I think they would have fired him 4 weeks ago, and we've never had a scenario like this with a coach in this situation in the transfer portal era where they may be forced to keep the coach. We've seen smaller budget teams, hey, they can't fire the coach. They can't afford to. But this is a whole different kettle of fish. I mean, this is at a whole different level. So I'm really curious, fascinated, actually, to see what happens next week at A&M. You got a theory, some thoughts on that?
Just talking to people who cover the team, it's he's going to stay. He's supposedly seen the light about hiring a play caller, but is he really going to relinquish those duties, or is he going to really have his hands all over the offense? And who will you get? I mean, I watched a podcast with the A&M guys covering talking about Garrett Riley, Lincoln Riley's younger brother, who's at TCU, who's doing a great job, probably going to win the Broyles Award. I would think. This year, but if I'm a hotshot up and coming play caller, do I want to get in that situation? I don't think so. I think I'm kind of worried. A&M, boy, what would they give Charlie? Of course, we were all like, God, they paid Ed Orgeron $16.9 million to leave. What would A&M give to have that kind of buyout for Jimbo Fisher?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
They'd pay a 10% premium on that, I think, and consider it a bargain, right? So, I mean, $86 million. And it only goes down $10 million a year. I mean,
roughly.
It's not like next year it's 40, which is still a staggering amount, but it's still not that much. But these people have spent literally hundreds of millions of dollars on facility upgrades and salaries and NIL and all this stuff, and they are not getting a return on their investment. But I don't know if you're A&M, if you really are honest and look in the mirror, you should be surprised that the program has not won a national championship since 1939. 1939, Charlie, leather helmet.
Yeah.
No TV. I mean, this is a program that always seems to be running with its shoes tied together. And nothing has changed.
Yeah. This is how I would spin it. if I were going and looking for an offensive coordinator, if Jimbo signs off and blesses this is how I would spin it if I were trying to spin for Texas A&M. I'd say, listen, here's the thing. You have a desperate program, okay? Next year, we throw $86 million around as the buyout this year. Next year, the number will be $75 million. So anybody that's in demand, if it's Coach Riley or not, they've got A&M over a barrel. You put in a big contract with a big buyout for a coordinator, okay?
Yeah.
And you say, listen, if you go in there and you rescue this mess, you're a hero. You're the guy that turn Jimbo Fisher around, you turn Texas A&M around, all of a sudden you're a hot commodity to be a head coach. If it goes bad, take the money, blame it on Jimbo, and get out of town and get down to the next job with, I'm saying a reasonable buyout. For a coordinator, you go and negotiate yourself a $5 to $8 million buyout. If you're a really hot commodity and you go in there, you do well, it's on you. You do bad, blame it on Jimbo. Take your check, get on down the road. I could spin it that way. I was good at debate, all right? I wouldn't go in there and work, but I could spin it that way with a bunch of money and no downside for a hot coordinator.
I suppose I'm also worried about my career trajectory and my reputation and that sort of thing.
Blame it on Jimbo. He was bad before you got there. You get there, it goes bad. He said, Jimbo wouldn't let me call plays. He just wouldn't. He wouldn't let it go. I mean,
people are going to know that. I know. This is what we don't know, Charlie, obviously not knowing the ins and outs, the machinations of Texas A&M and its boosters and stuff like that. Like I said, they have literally spent hundreds of millions of dollars to be a national championship contending program, and they've not gotten the return on their investment. Surely they have more money. Could they buy out Jimbo? I think we agree they probably could. But does it become a thing, a good money after bad kind of scenario at Texas A&M? I suspect it is. It's like, you wanted all this money, and maybe you said this on the show yesterday, so if I'm repeating what you said, I'm sorry. You wanted all this money for facilities, you wanted all this money for salaries, all this money for NIL and assistants and analysts, and this is still what we got? Forget it.
Yeah.
You figure it out. And I don't. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced I'm handing Ross Bjork more money, who just gave Jimbo this lavish new contract, and then they had this pratfall of a season. I'm not. He's not high on my. I'm not. Confidence is not high with him either. If I'm an A&M booster.
Yeah,
so,
but here's the thing with boosters, man, and I've been around a lot of them. The day of the game, the day after the game, bleep this. I'm not watching anymore. I'm done. Forget this. They're not getting another dime from me. Blah 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 blah. And the next week it's like, okay, who can we get? It's like that scene out of Bull Durham where Crash Davis goes in the single A team and he's like, bleep this bleeping game. I quit. And he takes about 5 steps. He turns around and goes, who we play tomorrow? That's how boosters are. It's like, I'm never giving them another dime. Forget this. They lose. They stink. All right, how much you need? Who can we get? So I'm not telling you they're going to pony up $86 million to run Jimbo out. But for every booster that left a game slightly intoxicated and mad as hell, Monday rolls around and they pull a checkbook out because, good old State U, we still want to win.
But by the way, I hear there's a good chance they're going to fire DJ Durkin.
They need a scapegoat. They need a scapegoat. I mean, blame it on him. I mean, because this was all DJ Durkin's fault. I mean, if they would have brought somebody else in.
It's one of the problems. That's the other thing too, Charlie. The person I talked to said, Is hiring a new play caller going to solve all their problems? No. The offensive line's been terrible. They're 123rd in the country in rush defense. They have more problems than just, hey, Jimbo's offense is antiquated.
Yeah.
Believe me, they got more problems than that.
They go 8-4 next year. They've doubled their win total probably if they don't win this weekend. If I'm hotshot offensive coordinator, go in there, win 8 games next year, and it was like, this is not what we paid for. What do you want? I double the number of wins from last year. I mean, what am I, a miracle worker? Come on, give me a shot. Scott, have a safe trip over to and from Texas A&M. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. As always, we appreciate the time.
Of course, Charles. I enjoyed it too. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Scott Rabalais from The Advocate. We'll take a break. First class, second class, no class when we return. Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
You having problems with your staffing? Business owners, they are in a bind in a lot of cases because of the amount of time they've got to spend. interviews, background checks, all of the payroll expenses. Well, Tiger Labor and Staffing can help you out. They'll take care of your screening, your training, your payroll, and all of your employment expenses so you can get back to work, man. You're not sitting around waiting for interviews that never show up. Tiger Labor and Staffing handles the interview process and the onboarding. You need somebody temporarily for a day, a week, or even a month. You control your labor costs this way, and it increases your flexibility. So if you need somebody seasonally, holiday season workers in particular, you can do that with a temp to hire option of only 60 days. That's the lowest in the industry. Tiger Labor and Staff, if you're looking for a job, skilled and unskilled labor is all or both encouraged. They'll match you with a job that fits and quick turnarounds on pay. Tiger Labor and Staffing, success begins with the eye of the tiger. Go to tigerlabor.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hanny Time, Hunt and Hill. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Enter now for a chance to win a catch and cook fishing experience from the Louisiana Charter Boat Association with me, Chef Jay Ducote, winner of Beat Bobby Flay. Register now at gocatch.com. That's GEAUX catch.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Service Mastery Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Mastery Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Mastery Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you.
Quarterfinals in the Prep Football Playoffs, and we get started Friday night at 6 with Louisiana Prep Preview. Presented by the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. Catholic High and Etta Carr kick off at 7. Immediately followed by the Lake Urgent Care Total Occupational Medicine Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show on YouTube, Your View, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hanny Time. First class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second class.
That no man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
My life had become like school on Sunday. No class.
I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First class, second class, no class as we head into the holiday for Thanksgiving. You know what one of my favorite songs is when they do the sports, the montages and all that stuff, when they did the Olympic stuff. I loved One Moment in Time, the Whitney Houston song. Okay, she did it for the Olympics, and I think it's a really good song. In my opinion, it's a really good song. All right. For the athletes that have had their one moment in time, I give you Spencer Rattler. All right. Spencer Rattler, Heisman hopeful at one point in his career, going to Oklahoma to, follow a leg of 3 Heisman finalists, of which 2 of them won. He was going to be the next guy up, and it didn't happen. He just wasn't that good. And so when it didn't work out for him at Oklahoma, he decided to go to South Carolina. And truth be known, hasn't worked out all that well for him there either. I mean, he's been okay up until last Saturday. Last Saturday, Spencer Rattler had his one moment in time. I mean, God rest her soul, Whitney Houston would have sang on the sidelines if she were still with us, because Spencer Rattler was great. I mean, much like Steven Garcia 12 years ago, who had his one moment in time against Alabama, this South Carolina quarterback, Spencer Rattler, was phenomenal. For one night, and probably on one night only, Spencer Rattler looked like the Heisman Trophy candidate he was always supposed to be. The real Heisman Trophy candidate was on the other side. And unfortunately for Hendon Hooker, his season came to an end. It's been a great one. But Spencer Rattler for one night couldn't be touched. 6 touchdown passes. He only had 8 coming into the game all season. But he picked that night to throw 6. The place was rocking. They stormed the field. It was a magical night in Columbia. I don't know if he'll ever do it again, but in the spirit of, neither one of you guys are old enough to remember who Clint Longley is, okay? Clint Longley is a backup quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys who came in on Thanksgiving Day for an injured Roger Staubach and had the game of his life and was never heard from again. All right? I don't suspect that Spencer Rattler is ever going to duplicate that performance from last Saturday night. You know what? He doesn't have to. This week, he's first class. Nice job, young man. Second class, good with a chance to be great. How about good with a chance to just, take the next step? That's LSU basketball. Tonight in the Cayman Islands against Kansas State. This is a 6:30 start tonight. This schedule is specifically built for a team that is trying to come together. I mean, it wasn't all that long ago that the LSU locker room was empty. 6-8 months ago, there wasn't a single scholarship player in there. And Matt McMahon had to build from scratch. He had to talk some of the players that were still on campus into sticking around, and then had to recruit a whole new team. So this schedule is purposely weak. I hate weak pre-conference basketball schedules. Ordinarily, if he schedules like this next year, I'll be the first one to say that's a bad idea. But this year, I think it was a good idea. Necessary, as a matter of fact. But there are going to be a couple of opportunities for them to play Power 5 teams before SEC play starts, and tonight is one. The only other one will be against Wake Forest, and that's on December the 10th. So here's your chance. Vegas thinks this is a toss-up. I have no clue about Kansas State. Hadn't watched them play. Don't know a thing about them. I do know that they play in the Big 12, and that makes them a Power 5 team. And so Kansas State generally has a pretty respectable basketball program. Another measuring stick. Let's see where LSU is. They have won both the games down in the Cayman against outmanned opponents very easily. Let's see where they are with Kansas State. They are good with a chance to be great is kind of the moniker we use. Well, let's just say good so far through the first 5 games of the season. Good with a chance to take the next step. My no class is here. Told you on Saturday. Didn't really care if LSU was 5 or 6 in the rankings this week. Don't care, where TCU is. Don't really care where much of anybody is at this point, because we still got a lot of football left. There's some extremely consequential games coming up in the next 10 days. But I care about one thing. Here, there's no outrage for me over LSU, TCU, USC, or any of the rest of this stuff. I will save my outrage for the final polls if I feel like it's necessary. But there is one backfire that I'm going to start to build right now. And I got this actually from somebody in the industry that I really respect. I don't know if he sent it to me last night on a text message just to rattle my cage or whatever. But he sent me this thing and says, You know Alabama can still get in the playoff. Stop it right now, okay? I don't want to hear from anybody that thinks Alabama's got a chance to get in the playoff, because if they get in this playoff, I swear to God, I'm not going to be responsible for what I say over these airwaves. You just soon call Flynn Foster right now and getting ready to pay the FCC fines, because there is absolutely no scenario, none. Every team that is still playing that is ahead of Alabama could lose every game that they have left. If they only play one game, lose that one. If they have 2 games left, lose both of them. Everybody on the board that can lose, does lose, Alabama still doesn't get in. I don't care if Ohio State and Michigan have a meteor hit the stadium. Alabama doesn't get in. There is nothing on that resume that suggests that Alabama should be in the playoff no matter what scenario. Georgia beats LSU within an inch of their life, I don't care. TCU misses the bus to the stadium, I could care less. Alabama has no case, none. They have one win against a team in the top 20, and they hung on for dear life with that. Since all of a sudden the committee wants to talk about style points, they're going to dock USC for winning over UCLA, a ranked team on the road. Want to dock them because they don't play defense. So let's talk about Alabama's resume for a second here. 1 win over a top 20 team. That was against Ole Miss. Hung on for dear life. 1 point win against a Texas team, has 4 losses. 1 win against a Texas A&M team, it has 7 losses, and they won it by 4 points. Oh, Bryce Young was out. Nobody else has any injuries? Stop. We're going to talk about style points. We're going to start going through the game on a play-by-play basis. That's fine. They let Arkansas back off the mat after they were up 4 touchdowns. Arkansas got back in the game. They beat Utah State. They beat UL Monroe. They beat Vanderbilt. They beat Mississippi State. They beat Austin Peay. Sound like a playoff resume? Not in your life. I like blind resumes. Blind resumes reduce your bias, okay? If it was Clemson, if it was North Carolina, if it was Washington State or Arizona or Texas Tech, with this resume, they wouldn't get a sniff, nor should they. The only reason that they are even being considered is because it's Alabama. How about we talk about what they've done this year and not what they've done in the past? You want to bring back the 2020 team? Belichick will probably send you Mac Jones back. Bring that team back, you got an argument. Bring back the team with Jalen Hurts or Tua Tagovailoa, you can talk to me all day. This team, not on your life. Nothing. Zero. Zippo in the morning case do they have for getting in the playoff. I don't care if the rest of college football shuts down. I don't care if the NCAA comes in and tells the first 7 teams on the list, you're ineligible for postseason play. I still wouldn't put Alabama in the playoff. No scenario. None. I don't care if they beat Auburn within an inch of their life on Saturday in the Iron Bowl. Auburn's not any good. Who have they beaten that's really good? Nobody. Who have they almost lost to that's really bad? Texas A&M, Texas, Ole Miss. Ole Miss is good. That's the one thing on their list. You're in that committee room lobbying for Alabama. What do you say? They beat Ole Miss. Okay. Do we know Ole Miss is going to win the Egg Bowl tomorrow night? I'm not sure. Tell you the truth, I'm taking State in the points because Kiffin's got 1 foot out the door, maybe. Alabama in the playoff. Not a chance. We'll take a break and then we'll sing you to Thanksgiving. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
While you're contemplating why Alabama shouldn't be in the playoff, eat Supreme Rice. Hey, tomorrow's Thanksgiving. You're going to make some rice dressing. You're going to make some gumbo. Any of your rice dishes, make them with Supreme Rice. You know, you're going to support our Louisiana farmers down in Crowley in southwest Louisiana since the 1930s. All of our Supreme Rice grown, milled, and processed down there. So whether it's the brown, the long grain, the medium grain, or the jasmine, you can make Supreme Rice a staple at your next family gathering, and if that's for Thanksgiving, all the better. Get it at all your AG food stores, your Rouse's, your Costco's, your Walmarts, including your Walmart neighborhood stores, and your Winn-Dixies as well. Make it Supreme Rice. For more information and some terrific, unique recipes, go to supremerice.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $11,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 72 months on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available.
Join us for a Wednesday edition of Hunt and Hill. Luke Johnson a day early. Travis Brown from the Bryan College Station Eagle talking Aggies. SEC Power Rankings, best win, worst loss. We're loaded on a Wednesday. Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We've got some intriguing football tomorrow. You know, all of a sudden, Detroit is actually got some life. It's always interesting whether the Lions are going to actually, show up on Thanksgiving Day and give a decent game. There's been some times, a few. Buffalo has spent the week in Detroit. This is what happens when you need to get your team focused. Hey, we've had a couple of shaky outings. Send them to Detroit for a week. There's nothing else to do. They'll focus on football. It's a pretty good game. Giants and the Cowboys, pair of 7-3 teams, NFC East. That one's interesting to me. Big blow for the Giants to lose Wan'Dale Robinson, though. He was really coming on. You remember him from Kentucky. He had a fabulous year last year and, was hurt at the beginning of the season, was really starting to come on. They've lost him for the season, so a tough blow for the Giants. And then Patriots and the Vikings, coming off of the Giants, Patriots and the Vikings is also interesting just to see how Minnesota comes back from that whooping that they took on Sunday. I thought that was the most impressive game, and listen, I'm no Cowboy backer, but, I mean, you got to give credit where it's due. That was the most impressive win in the NFL this season. So for Minnesota, this is exactly what you want. Not necessarily the Patriots, but you want to get back out there. Man, you want to talk about games you want to put behind you. This would be torture if they had 10 days between now and the next game. So all three NFL games, I think, have got some intrigue, but none of them compare to the Egg Bowl. I mean, the Egg Bowl is fun. The college football rivalries, Iron Bowl, that's great, okay? And look, I don't like Alabama particularly. If you have any doubts, rewind one segment, go back on demand. I'm not a big fan. But that game's great, okay? That game's great for college football. No doubt about it. I love Bedlam, Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. I'm really sorry to see that one going away. And the Egg Bowl. The Egg Bowl's given us some moments. And if this isn't high theater, I mean, we had to suffer through the whole LSU versus A&M, with all of the coaching stuff going around when Orgeron was trying to hold a job and they were maybe going to hire Tom Herman and all this. This is really funny when it's happening to somebody else. So, Lane Kiffin tomorrow night is going to be worth the price of admission. Win, lose, or whatever. Win, lose, or take a leak in the end zone. The Egg Bowl is always fun. So looking forward to it tomorrow. Enjoy the holiday with your family. We will be back on Friday. Normal schedule will be at Rufino's starting at 10 a.m. with Jimmy Odd's Game Time. For Taylor and Mario and Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. This has been Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
It's been a complete refurbishing of the Acura line. Going back to 2021 with the TLX and the TLX Type S, the RDX refreshed this year along with the MDX, and now the 2023 Integra. Newest, latest, greatest technology and styling. And the 2023 model year has 2 years of maintenance included. Listen, when you get the Acura line, you're getting something with high quality, dependability. And when you buy from Acura and Infiniti of Baton Rouge, you're getting treated like family, the family-owned and operated business, transparency in prices. That's why I've gone back time and time again to get my vehicles from Acura and Infiniti of Baton Rouge. The certified pre-owned lot comes with multiple advantages. Shopping over the holiday weekend at Acura and Infiniti of Baton Rouge.